Hello, I'm Diane Richard, and your host of Let's Talk. This is going to be a super exciting show. I'm truly privileged to bring to you two legends in the city of Pittsburgh and from the professional football arena. You may recognize these two gentlemen from their performances on the gridiron, but did you know that they also perform in another arena, the arena of helping to feed the homeless and the hungry? I'm speaking of none other than Craig Wolfley and Tunch Ilkin. This dynamic duo and highly modest men of faith have shared their blessings and have paid it forward in many ways, from fundraisers to walks for the homeless. In speaking with Craig and Tunch, you'll not only hear about their amazing commitment, but feel their passion for helping the poor and homeless in Pittsburgh. They will also share with us their connection with the Light of Life mission located on Pittsburgh's North Side. The Light of Light mission was founded in 1952 and started as a soup kitchen, but has added various services over the years to accommodate not only the spiritual needs, but provides programs for the recovery, educational, and mentoring support of the homeless men and women in Pittsburgh, providing approximately 300 meals a day, 1,000 meals during the holidays of Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving. The Light of Life mission also delivers food to 15 senior high-rise locations during the holidays. Among the various programs provided, they are also an emergency shelter for single men and have a chapel to provide spiritual enrichment. This in itself speaks volumes. We have so much information to share and how Craig and Tunch have committed themselves to this worthwhile cause. Allow me to present to some and introduce to others two amazing unsung heroes, Craig Wolfley and Tunch Ilkin. Craig and Tunch, thank you so much for being here with us today and just sharing some awesome news about what you do.
Well, it's good to be here.
Yeah, Diane, thanks for having us on. I'm doing good.
We just got back from Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Friday night from Israel. It was awesome. It was my second trip, seeing the Word of God come alive, walking where Jesus walked.
Amen.
Right, but now wait a minute. Let's talk about what made me nervous.
Yeah.
You got Hezekiah's tunnel.
Yeah.
Now, they said
So-
he had to turn sideways to go through. I'm going, oh, I'd be stuck like a cork in that thing,
The
man.
water is thigh high.
That's
It
not
was
good.
really
That's
cool,
not
yeah,
good.
Is it
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it's
Oh
so
my
cool. And if you
gosh.
turn off your flashlight, Diane, it is pitch black. You can't see anything. It is so dark. It's the darkest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we're going to get into that. But the first thing that we're going to talk about today is everyone knows that you were Steelers.
Right.
Okay, so you've played for the Pittsburgh Steelers as offensive lineman. And what I'd like for you to do is just to tell our viewers what it was like to work with the legendary Myron Cope and his terrible towel. And of course, the father of the 6 Super Bowl champions, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mr. Art Rooney.
Well, the chief was one of the most humble men I've ever met in my life. I mean, when I met him, it was before the draft my rookie year, and it was me and Ted Walton and Nate Johnson. We were in for a physical before the draft, and we had just seen the doctors, and we were waiting for Chuck in the Steeler lobby. There's 4 Super Bowls there. There's a mural on the wall of the AFC Championship game between the Steelers and the Raiders. And the chief walks in. And the chief is dressed very casually. He's got a cardigan and it's misbuttoned, so one's hanging out there. He's chewing on a cigar. He's got a giant ashtray, and he's dumping the smaller ashtrays in the lobby into the larger ashtray. Now remember, that was back when all buildings you could smoke.
Right.
So he says, "Hello, young fellas, what are your names?" We introduce ourselves. And then Nate Johnson, before the chief can introduce himself, he says, "So, are you the janitor here?" And the chief just let right out. I do a little of everything around here. And one of the things that really spoke to me, I mean, he actually swelled up. Like, this guy thought he was a working man. And the chief said, I only worked a half a day of my life. I went to the mill when I came out of high school. I went home for lunch and I never went back. And so the humility and the regular
guy and the personal touch that he had. He had a personal touch with everybody.
Yeah.
When he started to talk to you, like he would come in the locker room after the game was over, and he'd go around, shake everybody's hand. I mean, every single guy. And he would come up, and then he'd start to talk about, back in the 40s, he was in Buffalo, where I'm from, Buffalo, New York. And there was a big snowstorm, and, they had ropes that were, going from building to building, so you could, as these blizzards were going on, and you could hold on and find your way. And the stories that he would tell about him, from the ponies to playing baseball.
Yeah.
He was just a remarkable man with a remarkable sense of being able to communicate and make you feel like you were special.
Right. You could connect to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was born in Istanbul, Turkey, and so every time he'd see me, he said, "George, my boy, how are things in Turkey? Are they still killing each other over there? Just like Ireland." And he used to say that all the time to me, and it was just that personal touch. And one of the things that one of the memorable stories I heard about the chief was when his wife Kathleen died.
Yes.
There was another funeral at the same funeral home, and the family that was grieving there, I don't think there was any flowers or many flowers, and so the chief sent a bunch of the flowers from Kathleen's funeral over there and sent a bunch of Steelers over there to offer their condolences.
That speaks
Isn't that-
volumes.
isn't that-
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
It was everything about the man.
Such a legend. Such a legend.
Yeah.
So
Myron. Oh, oi. W-I.
Yeah.
There's so many stories. I remember Super Bowl 40. It was the first Super Bowl Myron had missed. His first year, I believe he was out.
Retired.
Yeah, retired. And so we were in the radio booth, and Billy Hillgrove says, "Let's call Myron, see how he's doing." So he talks to Myron, and he says, "Hey, Billy, have a good call," And he says, "Let me talk to dear Tunch." He talks to Tunch, and he says, "Have a good one. Don't mess up anybody's name or something like that. Let me talk to Wolfman." He gets on there. We talk for a moment. "Miss you, Myron." This thing goes, "All right. Well, enough of this fuzzy stuff." He says, "Don't say anything stupid." What's the point? You will anyhow.
Yeah, Myron was he was like a rock star, Diane.
Yeah.
Nice.
When we would travel on the road with him, people would come running up to him. Men would do Myron imitations to Myron. I always thought that was so humorous.
This is Myron Cope on sports?
Yeah. People go, and that was a lovely tackle by the dear Levon. Do you not think, Tunch? And that was what made him so special. He was just so affable and so welcoming, and people women would come running up to him and kiss the bald spot on his head, and it was like hanging out with a rock star. And I remember my first time in the booth with him, and he said, "All right, Tunch," he said, "Bill will talk, and then I will talk, and if I want your opinion, I will look at you." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm not going to talk." And then the first play, he said that line. He goes, "And that was a lovely tackle by the dear Levon. Do you not think, Tunch?" And I went, "Do I not think?" And I panicked. I froze. And I said, I go, "What do you say, lovely, Myron? It's football." And he just had this way about him that was just so much fun. And, what was really cool was he lived in Upper St. Clair. And we lived in Upper St. Clair. So I used to pick him up for the home games all the time. I ended for the away games to take him to the airport because he didn't live too far from me. And so really got to know him. And he was just such a sweetheart of a guy.
He was a remarkable individual. I mean, when I first came to Pittsburgh, I remember turning on the radio and everybody was talking about Myron.
Yeah.
And I go, "What's a Myron? Who names their kid Myron? What, the parents didn't like him or something like that?" So I go and do a banquet three-quarters of the way through my rookie year. And I'm on the speaking desk, it's a rubber chicken circuit. It's not like a very big deal. But Myron's there. And so he's introducing, so I get up and I have my 2 cents worth, and I started in Myron. "Who names their kid Myron?" and all this stuff like that. So he gets up there and he goes, "Wolfley, let me show you something. You never mess with the man who's got the microphone last." And he just tore me up after that. Oh, he did.
Tore you apart. Oh, amazing. So we all know that Pittsburgh is a sports city, and it's filled with diehard Steeler fans, myself being one of them. How did you feel in that environment with the fans cheering and the opposing team hitting hard? And, How did that make you feel as players?
Oh, it was the first time, and I think I can speak for Wolf as well. The first preseason game, first time you put on the black and gold.
Wow.
The first time you run out onto the turf at Three Rivers Stadium, it's like, wow, is this real? The funny thing was I got cut my rookie year. And so I went back to Chicago. I had no place to stay. I was staying on my buddy Marty's back porch because my folks moved to San Francisco and I had no place to go. And I was working.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah, they're
trying to shake them.
Yeah. So I was playing touch football in the Chicago Park District touch football league. I was working at a Chicago health club, cleaning mirrors and cleaning the weight room and just longing to get back. So 6 weeks into the season, I get a call back. Steve Corson broke his foot, so they called me back and. I didn't have a stitch of clean clothes. I had a duffel bag full of dirty laundry. For the second time in my life, I looked like a real immigrant. I get on a plane. The first game I was back was Monday Night Football against the Oakland Raiders.
Wow.
And I was on all of the special teams. So the opening kickoff, I'm out there, and the fans are going wild. 58,000 terrible towels, and it's so loud, and I just looking around, just going, look at. Wow, I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler. And I remember thinking to myself, I said, wow, last week I was playing touch football in Chicago. This week I'm on Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh. Is this a great country or what?
Playing for real.
This is a great organization, and Steeler fans are the greatest fans in the world.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And knowledgeable, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and the women more than the men half the time, let me tell you.
And so when they boo you, they know what they're talking about.
They know why to boo you, and they know how to boo you.
So, since you guys have played and you've been in with just all of the hoopla that has to do with the Steelers, how did the fan base make you feel?
Oh.
From week to week. How did that make
Let me tell you, when you came to training camp, our first year, now they just won the fourth of their 70 Super Bowls, right? So we come in there, and we'd been there a week before because rookies back then, back in the day when men were men, and we all played real football back then.
Not like today.
Not like today.
2 practices a
just
day.
one. What are you kidding me?
They wear pads once a week for 14 weeks.
They have a 3-day let's get acquainted to the hot weather period where it's lingerie football. They wear shorts and T-shirts.
It's like a country club today. Yeah.
So we were there a week.
Not that we're bitter.
Not that we're bitter. Yes, of course we're bitter.
Yeah.
So we were sitting there at the lunchroom, and Tunch and I are sitting there, and you got the Bradshaws walking in, you got the Swan, Stallworth, and Joe Green, Jack Lambert. Then you got the arms like legs like people, Mike Webster walking through the door. And John Cole, Larry Brown. You got the Jack Ham and the Mel Blunts and the Donnie Shells. I mean, it was just.
Why do you go with plural? They're individual. You got Donnie Shell, you've got Mel Blanc. You don't have the Donnie.
What are you, an English teacher here?
Yeah, you know what? You probably fly. And I'm Turkish, and English is my second language. I'm teaching.
Yeah, well, that's right. Stick to your Turkish.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is how we roll. So anyhow, you got the Donnie Shells and all them guys, right? So the point being is, we are enamored with these Hall of Famers to be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm going with it. See, it's a plural because it's more than players; they're also Hall of Famers. Okay.
I got you.
So having said all this, I mean, you look at them and one by one as they came in, and you're like, you're getting like, oh. I mean, it's like you're just having a heart attack over these guys because they're fabulous. Yeah. You've been watching them as you're growing up, and all of a sudden, by the time this parade of soon-to-be Hall of Famers and champions comes in, all of a sudden you realize, why am I even here?
Yeah,
I don't belong here.
Right, yeah. And the fact was there were, I went to Indiana State University, which is a small school. We played all the directional schools. And
not only that, they have to ride a bus.
We took buses.
They go to a railroad and they have to open the door up and
stuff.
So
there was something like 15,000 fans at the first practice. 15,000. We didn't get 15,000 for homecoming at Indiana State.
Right.
And so as Wolf was saying, we're watching these Hall of Famers right now. I look at him, I go, hey, would it be inappropriate for us to get autographs? And because I'm thinking to myself,
I got some of their cards.
If I get cut, I don't want to go home empty-handed.
Yes.
And then there's this moment where you go, wait a second, I've got to block these guys. I've got to play, snap out of it, and so the fans.
Wow.
They were just amazing, and to Wolf's point, Steeler fans are so knowledgeable. They know they know they're Steelers. And you know what? In public, you see them all the time, and people will come up to you and want to talk football and ask you.
Remind you of the holding call?
Yeah, that's right. Remind you of how you lost the game. And then, and they'll add, like this weekend. I mean, we were all this week, everywhere we go, people are saying, what do you think of the draft?
Yeah.
What do you think of the draft? I always quote Chuck. I said, they all look good in their underwear.
Yeah.
That's what Chuck Noll used to say. In essence, let's see when
Let's
they
see what
come
they
to
can
camp.
do. Yes,
Yeah,
let's see
right.
what they can do.
Yeah,
Yep.
so Steeler fans are the best.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
You know, Diane, this place,
Yeah.
Light of Life
Light of
Rescue
Life.
Mission.
This is the place that happens.
I walked through the doors for the first time in 1987, and I was blown away by what was happening. The movement of God that is here, the love that you experience when you walk through those doors, the love that you see displayed to the clients. Not only those in the long-term care program, but the overnight shelter and
Right.
the emergency meals. And it just became kind of a place that we hung out, not only me, but my family. We would come for Thanksgiving and Christmas and, different holidays and just to come hang out. And I always say that in a culture where we have hero worship, to me the people that work here are the true heroes, and those are the guys that I look up to. And the guys that one of my heroes is Carl Trust's brother Richard, and he was one of the counselors here, and it's just so good seeing Carl and asking him about Richard. Those guys. The guys that were involved in the program, in discipling and counseling guys with addiction issues, and everyone from Lorenzo, who used to run the kitchen here, was one of the
and his
another one
cheesecakes.
of my heroes. His pumpkin cheesecake.
Oh.
Unfortunately,
To die for.
unfortunately, he took it with him to the Lord.
Yes.
He did not leave that recipe
Recipe.
to anybody. But the people that have served down here have just been such an inspiration to me, and that's why I love being part of what's going on down here at Light of Life.
But that's why we're here on earth, I believe, to give back, to help each other.
Well-
if you don't do that, I just think that you're a very empty person.
Right.
Well, this is a transformational place.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things that I didn't understand. When he started saying, come on, you got to come down and see this place, I was like, because when you're players, you get a lot of opportunities to
There's
be
a
able
lot of
to-
charities.
yeah, a lot of charities, and they're all worthy, and they have their place and everything. But he kept saying, this is special. I'm going, how's it special? If I go to like some of the other charities, I know I get a good meal, get fed, that sort of thing. He's going, would you leave the stomach thing out of it right now? Let's just talk about
Forget
this.
about the
Yeah,
food. Forget about this place. We serve the food. We don't eat the food.
Right. So the first time that I actually come was on a Thanksgiving. Talk about forget the food. Man, it was all over. But we had a homeless family come in.
Yeah.
And that rocked and reset my entire worldview. I did not know that there were homeless families. I knew that there was homeless men, homeless women, homeless couples.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never seen a homeless family with 8 years old?
Two kids,
Two
yeah.
kids. And they ended up having to sit in different things. We had to readjust some of them, which made some of the folks a little discomfortable with us. But the fact is, that broke my heart.
Right.
On a cold, snowy Thanksgiving day, to see this family struggling and being able to sit together and have a hot meal, and then, well, it changes you. It just absolutely changes you.
Over the years, you develop relationships with the guys in the program, and that's what's really special.
Yeah.
Yes.
And everybody's got a story, and everyone's story is unique.
Very unique.
And to see people come into the program angry. The one thing that you'll notice is when a guy's new into the program, he's usually angry. They don't want to be here. And then they experience the love of God. And they experience the transforming power of the Holy Spirit
Right.
that resonates in this place because of all the people that work here and serve here who have a love for Jesus. And then you see them slowly change, and
It's transformational,
It's
Chaluch.
transformation,
Yeah.
absolutely.
it is. And then you go to a graduation, and you hear the story. One of the most moving things for me, when Craig shared that day that homeless family came in, we were both seating people in the kitchen and serving at that time, and we were the ones. We saw those two. The son and the father and the daughter and the mother at two different tables, and we said we
Gotta
can't.
put 'em together
So
as a
we
family.
made people get up, and we were not very popular because once someone
The
that's
folks
coming in for a
weren't
meal,
happy,
they don't
yeah.
like to move.
Yeah.
But we changed that, and that was a very not only sobering moment, but a very heartbreaking moment to see that family. But the other time was I was at a graduations are great because you hear the stories and how God has moved in the lives of these graduates. But the one thing that there was a gentleman who had been a heroin addict his whole life, and his daughter was sitting next to me and my son Tanner. We went to graduation, and she was weeping the whole time he was telling his story. And I said, "You must be so proud and so happy." And she goes, "You don't understand. I've never known my father as someone who was sober. He's been an addict my whole life, and to hear his story, and to hear how he has given his life to Jesus, and to hear how he is clean from heroin." And man, that was, it was just so powerful. I was weeping because she was weeping, and
Yeah.
it was just so cool.
Wow. And you talk about coming and eating and being fed, but you were fed.
Right.
You were fed in the manner. You were fed with what these people had to offer. You were fed by the Light of Life mission and all that it stands for. I used to serve here. My church's small group, we would come out and we would go to different places. And Light of Life mission was one of the places that we would come and we would serve. And I too can tell you that and share with you that it's an amazing feeling that you get when you can reach out and help people, and see people that haven't eaten, don't have a place to live or a place to lay
Right.
their head. I have a bed, I have a
Right.
home, I have a roof, I have food, and you all do too. But there's so many people out there that don't, and
Right.
I think that those people are the true heroes actually, because
Right.
they're braving the storms, and they're just looking for a little handout.
The
And
beauty,
and a hand
and be
up.
willing to come in, yeah.
Yes.
But it's like you also said, this place has been here since '52. They've been serving people here on the north side for a long, long time. And the people that actually minister to the folks that are in so much need, these people they're just awesome. Because one of the things that's great about being a broadcaster now is we can speak football to guys. All right, we lived it. We understand. Well, so many of the clients here can speak the truths with the people who minister to them, because those guys suffered too. They went through a lot of that, and they can really share. And that's the one thing I know for myself. I'm not really capable of giving to them what they need as somebody who's been there, done that. But we can be involved in other ways, and in some other ways is to do whatever you can to help out down here.
You know what's really cool, Diane, too, is there are 3 guys here that I met when they were in the program, and now they work here. Steve Royerson and Hutch and Rob. I met those guys when they were in the program.
You forgot to say the legend,
and
Hutch.
The legend, yeah.
Yeah.
The legend.
The Hutch who, when Guy Junker came in here.
That's right, Guy Junker.
Guy Junker was, I walk in, Hutch can't see Guy, and all of a sudden Guy Junker shows up. He goes, "Guy Junker," and he throws me out of the way.
And he
So much for you.
Adios. Adios.
He goes right to Guy Junker, and I'm like, going, "Oh, I guess I'm chopped liver now."
You are now, baby.
No, I love Hutch and
Yeah.
and Robbie and Steve and a lot of guys
Yes.
that I've developed friendships with that have gone through the program, and we're entering the program now, and just seeing Ian out there and getting my picture taken with him, and Kate texted me the picture, so I got that in my phone now.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate. I mean, she's a sweetheart.
That's one of the stars of Light of Life,
That's
Senator
right.
Kate Wadsworth.
Yes.
I always tell people that you're never the same when you walk out of this
Yeah.
place. No matter how many times you come in here, you are always blessed. You never come in here and go, oh, that was okay. You walk out of here going, wow. Just truly blessed. Seeing Lloyd and Dean and all the guys that work here, man, they're all buddies, and it's just, I'm just very thankful for the small part that God has allowed me to be part of this ministry that has been ministering to the poor since 1952. It is just. I'm very, very thankful.
Well, I think both of you have played more than a small part.
No, I'd say small part was really true.
Yeah.
I think for what you've done and what you continue to do, it's impactful.
Well, we like being here, Diane. It's the
Absolutely,
blessing
yeah.
is ours.
Yes.
It really is. The blessing is ours. I mean,
It really is.
when Kate
yeah.
says, "Would you come down and do this?" or "Will you come down?" It's not. It's never like we go, "Oh, I don't." It's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I
When?
want to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to come.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that this past Good Friday I couldn't come down, and it was killing me that I couldn't come down. I had other things to do, and I was like, oh man, I can't go. I want to go. And I was trying to rearrange things, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so it's always great to come down here. And when Kate said to come down to do this interview with you, and to tell the story, I mean, it is such a blessing to be able to tell the story. The number of meals they serve every day, the
Yes.
number of meals they serve every year, the meals that go out to the high rises,
yes.
the meals that go out to other churches, and what are you laughing at, Kate?
Well, we're looking at my notes here. We got we're about 300 meals a day.
Yeah.
I'm so good with stats, man.
272,327.
Here's the problem. She's so wonderful. She gets the big,
Right.
copy and everything like that. I think I have my glasses out, but they're sunglasses. I was like, oh.
Put them on.
See, it's like this does not help. I can't read the print.
That's cool. That's cool breeze.
Yeah. That's another dumbified move on my
Well,
part.
and just so these are our talking points,
Yes.
and we should
Right.
they provide 300 meals a day, 1,000 meals at Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter, and it is 15 local high rises. And one of the things was being around here a lot, you get to do different things. You know what I mean? As a servant, another impactful thing is one year my oldest boy Tanner and I served Thanksgiving meal to the shut-ins up at the Presley High Rise.
Okay.
And that tore me up. I mean, that brought me to tears.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is Tanner bought a house right across the street from the Presley High Rise. He lives on that street
Nice.
now. He and his wife and my grandson, and it's just, it is just, and he loves that place. He loves the
Yes.
North Side.
Yes.
And when he was a kid and we used to come serve, he was like 10. He'd go, I'm going to live on the North Side someday. And I'm going, yeah, right. Yeah. He goes, I'm going to live on the North Side someday. And
He did.
He
On the
is.
north side.
yeah,
Yes.
he's living on the North Side, going to ACAC, and he stops by here. One summer, Lorenzo put him to work here. He would serve. I don't know if it was once a week or a couple times a week, but he came and worked for Lorenzo, and it
Nice.
was so cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Because you all have stated it so eloquently, and I think people need to understand. Aside from television, the way television makes missions look like they're just a place for people to flop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just a place, a soup kitchen, get a bowl of soup and a corner of bread, and you can lay down, but you have to go out. Light of Life is different than that, and people need to understand that it is not that type of an environment. It is an environment that is welcoming. There's spiritual enrichment here. There's, social enrichment here. There's all types of things here. Plus, you have your counselors, and you have the different programs and things like that. And I think that that's very important for people to understand. When you said tell people about Light of Life, you know what I mean? They need to rid themselves of that preconceived notion of what a shelter or what a mission is.
Yeah, you know what, Diane, you make a great point. I mean, you think about it this way. When you're in the program, a lot of times you're learning skills that we take for granted. Balancing a checkbook, how do you work on a computer,
Yes.
How to fill out a resume.
2 classes I need to take.
How to interview for jobs. Yeah, he needs that too. We've had different programs in place that help guys find jobs on the outside. You're going through the interview, learning how to do the interview process, and then placement has been a big part of that as well. One of the great programs that they've had here too is called Physicians House Call. So you have I remember a guy years ago when I was hanging out one day. The guy came in and went into the doctor and found out he had a broken back, and so they sent him down to AGH, and the healing process started, and then you've got Bible studies and Celebrate Recovery and and you're being discipled and trained. And when I first started coming here years and years ago, we had a guy that was running a construction crew, and a lot of the guys were working in the construction crew back in the 90s. And so there's always opportunities to better yourself here, physically, mentally, emotionally, professionally, but most important, spiritually.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. When we first started talking, you spoke about Panama.
Yeah.
And I understand that both of you travel and you're doing your outreach. What are some of the other places that you have gone and gone to help and support people who have fallen down on their luck?
Yeah, probably the most. I mean, I've been to the
You've
Dominican.
been to a lot of missions.
I have young ones at home still. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm about to
You'll be
turn
all right.
60, but I
I'm
still.
bringing them to Kenya with me.
I would like to go, really.
bring Kenya with you.
Yeah, it's,
Can I say probably
Yeah.
one of the most moving places
Yeah.
I've been to was the Mathare slums in Nairobi, Kenya. Almost 500,000 people live in shanties with no running water, no electricity, no plumbing, raw sewage in the streets.
Yes.
And there is you talk about a beacon of life. There is Zion Inland African Church with Joseph Wamboa, who is just a visionary, and he started a school there, and it started out K through 8. Now it is in high school, and the only way out of the slums in Mathare is through education, and education is very hard to come by in Nairobi, Kenya. And Pastor Wamboa, he still lives on the outskirts of the Mathare slums, and he is so invested there. And they've started clinics, and they've started schools, and there are church. If the around the circumference of the slums, there are 4 churches. All the same, Zion Inland African Church. And he is. When I went there for the first time, I remember thinking to myself, 2 things stepped out of me. I've never seen such poverty, and you've seen these little babies crawling in the dirt, and the kids are so starved for affection that they'll come running to you and they're hugging on you and grabbing your arms, and it is so wonderful. But not only have I never seen that kind of poverty, but I've never seen that kind of joy with that kind of poverty. And that place is just that really rocked my world. Seeing that, but then seeing the teachers at Zion, and just going there and being once again, small part of trying to help out. And, and then, I've been to Panama a couple of times and the Dominican, and, it's, I really love to go on missions trips. I think number one is to be able to help where you're at, but also to open the eyes of others who've never been, to lead a trip with a bunch of guys and take them somewhere, and seeing their lives transform because of their opportunity to serve, and and even bringing people down here. When I was in youth ministry, I used to bring the youth group down here, and in men's ministry, one of the really fun things, cool things that we did was our huddle. It's a 12-man discipleship group. We used to come down and we would hang out with guys in the program, and sometimes we'd barbecue for them. Sometimes we went to games and that once, and sometimes we went out to dinner. Sometimes we would just go upstairs and have a little Bible study and have some pizza, just to hang out, and allow friendships to naturally spring up.
Some of the interesting things that he speaks of going there, and I've been blessed. I went to Hawaii one time, and I ended up going to a prison.
Suffering for the Lord in Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. We've spoken.
Hey, sign me up for that trip.
I'm just suffering so bad, man.
You are.
Yeah, a little luau action, then you go.
No, I know you guys did. I'm just going. I know what you guys did.
But we went. Going into the prison, that's a scary thing. When you hear those doors clank behind you and the security thing, and you come out after you have these deep conversations, you think deep with some people, and you find out what's that guy in for, and it's like, a double murder, and I go, okay. It's just it's eye-opening. I remember back in the day we'd go a little FCA. Remember when we went up to Timmins, Ontario?
Yeah.
Up in the Great North there, eh?
Right.
Take off, hoser.
Yeah.
That was, we went up there, and just to be with families for several days and speak at a church and youth group. I remember going out to Saskatchewan doing that. I mean, way out there, man, that was like crazy. We're so far out there.
No man's land.
Hey, it ain't Hawaii, okay? Yeah. I'll say this, and then I will say one of the neat local missions trip I got to participate in was we went to the Redbird Mission in Kentucky, and it was where a lot of the Indian children were at, and that was a level of poverty that
you just don't expect to see in America, and yet it happens. But
There's a lot of poverty in America.
There's a lot of opportunities to be able to serve. He gets out there far more than I do, as far as in the travel and things like that. But the fact is, God puts into your life every day opportunities to serve.
Absolutely.
And whether it's on the far side of the world or right in your backyard, there are opportunities to give and serve wherever you're at.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It really is. I mean, I'm not.
It is a blessing.
I mean, we are so blessed. Number one, that we know Jesus.
The one thing I'll say about Saskatchewan, all right, now this was in Regina, okay? I mean, that's where they have the big stampede and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's Canada.
It's way up there, man. It's like so far up there, but this I know.
It's like a different country up there, he said.
Merrill Hodge, thank you very much. The point being is, what really rocked me was you're downtown at the local, the whatever Holiday Inn or Best Western or whatever is up there. I don't know, Canadian Northly, whatever the thing is. But 3 minutes out of downtown, there's wild buffalo on the open range. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They're like, just buffalo. I mean, just seeing your average buffalo out there. It's crazy.
How did I miss that trip? What?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because normally you're like
Was that with Hollis?
Yeah, it was with Hollis, that was with Webby.
Oh, man, I wish I would have. That sounded like cool.
Yeah, it was. I mean, where else do you see buffalo just kind of like trotting along the road like
the
some
zoo?
puppy? Yeah.
Yes, the zoo. Yeah. So when you went to Saskatchewan, what occurred there?
Well, we had an FCA thing. We played flag football.
Oh, okay.
Sharing our testimony at schools. Back then, you could actually get into schools and be able to share.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's that's Not too easily done.
No.
Yeah, well, you
Not
can do some
anymore.
schools, they let you.
Some, yes.
Some, yeah.
Some.
The inner city schools, they'll say, yeah, you can come preach. Our kids
Yeah.
are killing one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole situation's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Are there other sports figures that you know of who are committed to doing things such as this?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. You know, one of the things that you find out when you come to the Steelers is that the chief was like that. You know, he was. You know, the funny thing was, and he did it without any fanfare. You know,
I
people
know.
in the neighborhood,
Yes.
like kids would get their tuitions paid, and families who couldn't afford their
Yes.
gas bills, all of a sudden, you know,
People
the
had
Roonies-
medical bills that
yeah.
were suddenly.
Yeah, the Roonies were so great at that, and so that kind of set the tone. And so, you know, I remember when we got here, you know, Mike Webster was really involved in spina bifida, so we got involved in spina bifida. You know, Robin Cole was involved in like everything.
Everything.
Right, and Robin Cole would show up at charity events that he wasn't even asked to come to.
He just do
You
it
know,
comes
he
to
was
sport.
you know, and
That's important.
yeah, and then
Oh.
of course Mel Blunt in the
Yes.
youth home.
Yes.
You know, he's doing.
He has the farm, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got
Yeah.
the, you know, the Mel
Doing
Blunt youth-
terrific
yeah,
stuff with the young men and
yeah.
women there, man.
And so you know, Brett Kiesel is really involved in Children's Hospital, and you know
That whole beard
Yeah,
thing.
you know, everybody, Franco, those guys were always involved,
Yeah.
and so what was great for us is we got there, we saw what the guys were involved in, and we go, okay, that's what you do. You know, that's what
That's
you
what it
do.
looks
You
like.
you invest in the community that you're living in, and you serve the community somehow, some way. You know, right now, John Kolb, who is a physical therapist, he's working with ALS patients and
It's called
stroke-
Adventures in Training
with a purpose.
Yeah, with a purpose.
With, you know, he's
Nice.
working with stroke patients and paraplegics, and he's working with guys, men and women, who can no longer afford
Their insurance.
their insurances run out, so they still need physical
Okay.
therapy. So John is doing that.
Nice.
And so, you know, there's a lot, you know, guys are involved. You know, right now, Robin Cole is really involved with prostate cancer victims and, you know, the Obadiah Cole Foundation. And, you know, guys are, you know, J.T. Thomas, so you see him at
Yeah.
things. You know, it's just, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't do something, you know?
It's given back.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
just
God
given
has
back.
given you an opportunity to be
Absolutely.
able to do something special.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you give back in return, you know.
What else do you think our viewers need to know?
I'm a much better dancer than he is.
Yeah, you know, and he's much more handsome too.
No, that's
he's
not
been-
true.
He's been, you know, I just think that the thing about Light of Life is if you've never been down here, come down here. You will not be the same person when you leave. You will be moved beyond belief, and you know, the Lord will tug at your heartstrings. And the one thing about Light of Life is that when you give all your money, I mean, you know, it's going to a need. It is going to a need, and that's one of the reasons that you can feel confident that your donation is going to help somebody. You know what? All right, let's look at our notes. Okay, the 258.
This is
for
useless,
$2
'cause-
and, you know what? Well, we had them rolled up. You know, that was our.
I know.
But like, okay, so $2.58 will feed one person. All right, so just think about that. Do the math. Wolf can't.
No.
But you can. And you can help so many people.
Yes.
With your donation, you can help so many people as a prayer partner. You can help so many people coming down here and serving. This is a local mission. And the beauty of that is it ministers to the people right here on the north side. So you can have a real live impact on people here on the north side. I mean, it's right here. You don't have, it's not a fur drive.
It's homegrown.
It's homegrown, and it's right in the middle of this wonderful city. So whether you're, you know, the north side's halfway to everything. So you can be here and you can have an impact on the poor. That's what makes this special.
And every dime you spend, every moment you labor in the Lord's name, you're setting aside treasures in heaven for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the greatest investment in the world. So.
And you may regret not getting involved, but you'll never regret getting involved.
Absolutely. Give your help to the poor,
Right.
and the Lord will give you his perfect blessings.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Tunch, Craig, thank you so much for being on the show and telling everyone about the Light of Life mission, talking about your dedication and commitment to this worthwhile mission. It's just incredible. You too will be blessed 100-fold for doing
Thank
it.
you.
We've
We already
already
been,
been blessed. We've already been blessed.
Your
Diane.
blessings will continue.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to have a facility like Light of Life
Oh,
yeah.
and to help the people who are in need. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think that there are enough of them. Like we talked about, there's the epidemic of homelessness. You know, there needs to be more like this.
Diane, you make a great point. So many players today are starting their own foundations, which is great. I think that's great. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah.
All you got to do is show up.
Well, that's
It
a
is,
good
you know,
point.
You know what I mean? You don't have to say, how do we help? They're helping the homeless. God is moving here. Come here, get caught in the Lord's draft, and be part of what's going on. You don't, I mean, the beauty is you can come and they'll plug you in.
That's right. Drop
That's the
some
beauty.
fragrance
you
here,
don't,
man.
You don't have
You
to
do anything.
You don't,
Just come and you'll
just show up.
Yes, show
just
up.
show up.
Show up and show
yeah,
out.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that's how they
That'll
say
work.
it. Just show up and show out. Again, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
Appreciate
thank
ya.
Thank you for telling the story, Diane.
Yes.
Absolutely, and God bless you and the longevity of the mission.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. That's professional. You don't know that.
I struggle with some of those big time terms.
Tunch Ilkin and Craig Wolfley, two high-spirited, energetic, and amazing football legends who, together, have helped sack homelessness and hunger in the Pittsburgh area. You have heard them speak of their passion and commitment to the Light of Life mission. It's almost as if they breathed renewed life into many of the weary and downtrodden souls that walk through those doors each day. Craig and Tunch stated that they have too gained in spiritual growth and are humbled to be able to speak with such amazing people who are going through life's challenges. The Light of Life mission is a beacon of hope and a port in a storm for so many who depend on its excellent services provided by the mission's incredible staff. Caring, compassion, and a hand outstretched to pull someone along is a noble gesture. Many of us can truly relate and believe that there, but for the grace of God, go I. On May 26, 2018, Craig and Tunch will host the 16th annual Walk for the Homeless at Heinz Field. Now, you ask, what can you do to support the plight of homelessness and hunger in Pittsburgh? Join the walk, pledge a charitable donation, bring your family and friends, and become involved in helping to make a difference by participating in such a worthwhile cause. If you can't make it to the walk, you're always invited to volunteer at the mission. Remember, your monetary contribution and/or volunteerism not only feeds the hungry, but it also feeds the mind, the soul, and spirit. There are many testimonies to be heard from those who have used the services of the mission in their committed efforts to pay it forward. The Light of Life mission has given hope and dignity to many who have waited in line to be fed. It's not a soup kitchen, but a powerful ministry committed to helping those who cannot help themselves, no matter what the circumstance. God bless both Craig and Tunch, two amazing unsung heroes, for their loving spirit of giving back and for the longevity of the Light of Life mission. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time with more amazing unsung heroes on Let's Talk.